Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity. I always say to make money in the market or to learn, right? So let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth in the stock market. It's just one of those avenues. So with that being said, this video is for educational purposes only. Yeah, let's get started. So y'all listen. Let me go ahead and say this. The market has been different, and we can do pre-market prep. We can look at the charts. We can try to plan, but ultimately, it's whatever's going on at that time, right? Because some of the things that I saw yesterday and towards how it just flipped and changed. But keep in mind, with trading, there's always somebody on the opposite end of your trade. Let me say that. Just like you want to make money, there's somebody that don't want you to make money, right? And I always say it's really chess and not checkers, and there's a major difference in the mindset of the game, right? You have to know it's a mind thing. So if you can try to work on that with trading, it will definitely help you. So let's go ahead and get started. I just want to share that this morning, right? So again, we're looking at the charts. We're looking at the VIX. We are looking at the 30-minute chart. The VIX is down, which means the SPY is up. Yesterday, the VIX was right here at the 200 EMA, was around the 1368 area because I had an alert set for 1371, and it's see how we came down. That means the SPY is up. However, it's been consolidating. So where are trouble places for the VIX right now? The 20 EMA is right here at the 1313. The 50 EMA is at the 1317. If we break those levels, which will send the SPY down, if we break those levels, our next level is 1328. And can we continue to can the VIX continue up or down? It can do whatever. Pay attention to your charts and trade what you see, right? So we see that we've been consolidating, and we can go back to the upside. And if we break those levels, those were the areas of support. The 13 right now, the 20 EMA, the 50 EMA, the ATR trailing stop, it needs to clear all of those areas to get back to where it was on yesterday, which was around the 1368. I can't say, what it's going to do. I always say trade what you see. And it's funny to see that, I always say amazing to see, right, that the VIX is finding support here at this ATR trailing stop. So can it find support at this 1303 and bounce back to those levels? It very well can, because this ATR trailing stop, in my opinion, is very strong support and or a very strong resistance. Let's say that. So I would say be careful. Just watching your charts, just be careful today, right? So we're going to look at the SPY, and I need to point this out first. I'm going to go ahead and delete this because that was from yesterday. But y'all listen, the SPY closed at 519.77. It just hit a high of 522.19 here, 522.18, 522.20, which gave us a double top, right? So I would be concerned with the gap up that we're going to have, because that means it's going to gap up, meaning we're going to have to come down to fill that gap at some point. Does not mean that we're going to fill that gap today. It just means that we're going to create a gap to the downside. That's something to think about, right? So again, this is the SPY on the 1 hour chart. I'm going to go down to the 30-minute chart because I like to start with the 30-minute. And again, we hit that high of 522.20. I'm going to mark that as a pre-market high, and that's just how I like to do it if you trade the SPY. It kind of just gives me an idea here to let me know that SPY, this is an area of resistance for the SPY right now during pre-market. Okay, it looks like we consolidated a little bit. Looking at it on the 30-minute chart, on the 1 hour, we saw a double top, right? So that's why it's important sometimes to look at your higher time frames. We had a double top here, and it consolidated here based on what we're seeing on this 30-minute chart. With the consolidation, it looks like it's breaking out of that consolidation, or the gathering spot. That's what I like to call it, right? And with trading, y'all, you have to make trading fun. I just do things or say things and make it interesting and fun to me, to where I'm just not looking at charts all day and getting boring based on, bored looking at charts, because it could be time consuming, because sometimes you have to wait on the strategic move. And that's where a lot of people miss it at. We have to wait on the right move at the right time. That's the thing. So again, with the SPY, we've been consolidating. We broke out of that gathering spot. Looks like it's trying to find support on this 50 EMA, which is right here at the 521.07. So It's interesting that this ATR trailing stop and the 50 EMA is right kind of like at the same area. The ATR trailing stop is at the 520.99. Now, can we find support here and bounce back to the upside? We very well can. So what I normally do is set an alert, even though we are a little bit early, before the market opens. I will set an alert if this was actually market time. I would set an alert to let me know that it is below that area of support. So that lets me know the SPY is under a level, and we very well, I'm going to go ahead and take that off. So we could very well reach that level. But normally if I was, getting out of, documenting my gathering spot, or trying to get my levels together before the market or where I am right now, I would definitely get this area, mark it, and then set my alerts to let me know. That's what I was trying to say. Let me fix it and get it right? So again, back to the SPY. We are at a level of support. We could very well continue down. We can break that level of support. SPY is going to gap down. It closed at 519.77. We hit that high 522. We can come down, fill that gap, and bounce to the upside. It is interesting to me that the SPY has gapped up. That would be my question. What news? What came out? What made the market just shift directions? Because we're going to go to Tesla, and Tesla did the exact same thing. Do I trust the move up? I do not, based on what the charts were saying and how it was moving on yesterday. But again, it's a new day. I always say that it's a brand new day. So pay attention to your SPY. If you trade the SPY, mark your gathering spots, finding out where you're consolidating. And as you can see, that was our gathering spot. We broke out of that on the 5-minute chart. Our 5 and 50 crossed right here. That's the light blue line, this line, and this line. Those are entries for me. So once it broke out of the gathering spot and this line crossed, my MACD would have given me a little pivot right here, and it did, telling me that it's okay to trade it to the downside. And I'm under my 5 EMA. Those are things that I look for when I enter my trades, right? And there's no right or wrong way. Again, it's just finding what works for you. So the SPY is going to gap up, which is going to give us a gap to fill to the downside. The VIX is down, which tells us, yeah, SPY is up. So I'm going to go and look at Tesla, because Tesla was interesting yesterday. Let me say that. So Tesla closed at 172.63. That's very important to be mindful of, right? It just hit a high of 178.80. And if you follow my channel and saw that, I said yesterday that Tesla wasn't, or Monday, I said Tesla was an inside week candle. That means the 178.18 was a trigger to the 182.87 target. And we are right there at that trigger. So I'm going to set an alert that if Tesla makes a new high from this point, that we could very well go and fill that price target of 182.87. Let me show you my concern. It's because yesterday the gathering spot for Tesla was in the 169, and today we're at 170, almost 179. That's a $10 increase. And I'm thinking, okay, how or why? See, this is how I think. And keep in mind, there's going to be a gap up, meaning it's going to be a gap to the downside that needs to be filled from the 172 to the 178. So Tesla is going to at some point come down and fill that gap that it's going to create to the downside. So we are in a gathering spot right there at the trigger. So I would need to watch Tesla very carefully today. Only because, one, we have a downside gap to fill, and two, we are right there at a place that I had marked for a breakout to a price target of 182.87. And again, I said, always remember, there's always somebody that's on the other end of your trade that's trying to outthink you or to make you think that it's one thing and then it turns up, it end up being something else. So always be mindful of that. Again, this is our gathering spot for Tesla, and I have it marked at the 177.69 up to the 178.94. So my alert is going to go off once it breaks past that 178.94. And then once we close above, again, you want to wait on your candles to close. That's very, very important. Waiting on your candles to close. If we close above that area, then I will be looking to trade Tesla up to the 182.87. Again, anything is possible. It can change at any given moment, right? So I'm going to set an alert here. If we break out of this gathering spot, which is under the 177.69, we could very well come down to fill that gap that's going to be, because it's going to gap open. Let me say that. Okay. So again, we're looking at Tesla here on the 30-minute chart, And we do have a gathering spot, and I'm going to go down to the 5-minute just so that you can see this is the area that Tesla is trading in right now, pre-market. And anything is possible. We could very well lose all of this support. If we break below 177.40, that means we're under some key levels of support, and we could very well come down to fill that gap. That's something to think about. And I mentioned yesterday in my recap that Tesla was right there at the 5 EMA on the daily chart, which is above the 172.20. And it closed at 172.63, so that was kind of like right there at it. It wasn't, out of the ordinary for it to bounce the way that it did, but it did bounce off the 5 EMA on the daily chart. Again, I will be very, very careful. Trade what you see. Pay attention to your trades. Mark your levels and don't rush into your trades. Let your trades show you, tell you what, it's going to do. Right now, I would just say with Tesla, watch, trade carefully, because we are at a level of it could go down or it could go up. And I'm going to leave it at that. We can come up to the 182.87, or we can come on back down to this 172.20. That's something to think about. And there's some, stopping points in the way. But right now, those are our levels. And it would not surprise me that if we came back to the 169 area at some point either this week, it just would not surprise me at all. So the next one I'm going to look at is NVDA. NVDA on the 30-minute chart, it too is trading sideways. We are above yesterday's pre-market high, which is interesting for me. So I'm going to move that. And right now our gathering spot is right here at the 960.06 to the 956.37. I'm going to mark those areas as my gathering spot, meaning that's the area that we're trading, the range that we're trading in right now. And most people say it's consolidation, y'all. Again, I just have to make it, interesting and funny for me so that I can, have fun with the market, right? It's have fun with what you do. So I'm going to mark the gathering spot, which I did. So I would set my alert above and below those levels if I traded NVIDIA, and I'm going to go to the 5-minute chart to let me know, to see where we are on the 5-minute. Where's our support? Let's look at that first on the 30-minute chart. We have support at 956.07 that's the 20 EMA, and then we have the 50 EMA at 949.63. What's concerning for me is we also have 946.54 as an area of support. If we break those levels, we could come back to the gathering spot from yesterday, which would have been at the 943.44. If we break that level, which I'm not saying that it is, I always say trade what you see, pay attention to your charts. If we come to that level, we could very well continue back down to the 935.92. I will say that NVIDIA is very interesting. If you look at it on the weekly chart, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, how extended it is. Does that mean that, we're going to fall down? No, it does not. Does it mean it can continue? It does. Trade what you see. I say that often. So NVIDIA pre-market today, we hit a high of 962.10. So as of right now, I will mark that as my pre-market high, just so that I'll know if that's something that you trade. I will mark that as a pre-market high. Pay attention to that level. If we get above that level, we have broken through the pre-market, that would be resistance right now. If we get back to that level, that means we've broken through resistance, and we could very well continue to the upside. Right now, looks like we're having some issues, and by the time the bell opens, anything is possible. It could very well change, right? So we have the VWAP right here at 959.20. We have the 20 EMA, and we have the 5 EMA and the 50 EMA. Right now, the 50 EMA seems to be support for us, which is right there at the 958.10. So if you think about what I just said, NVIDIA is going to gap up, meaning it's going to have a gap to the downside that needs to be filled. So I would ask myself, is the market going to come down and fill those gaps now? Is it going to go up, continue up, and maybe come down and fill those gaps later? At some point, those gaps will need to be filled. We don't know if it's going to be today or if it's going to be tomorrow. That's why it's important to trade what you see. Mark your levels, set your alerts, look for your MACD, look for your right entries and your right exits, and always say, y'all, when it goes against the reason why you got in it, get out. So NVIDIA will be interesting to watch today based on it's already gapped up almost $9, right? Nine. Yes, we're going to have a nice gap to the upside. Will we come down to fill that gap? Would be the question. That would be my my question for the day. AMD is another one that I like to look at. AMD is consolidating. This is our gathering spot here at 179.98 is going to be the low, and I'm going to mark that 179.98 will be the, well, we'll use the 179.98 right there, and the high will be right here at the 181.16. So that is my gathering spot right now, or the consolidation, as most people would say, right? Those are consolidated areas, and let's see, making sure we're on the right place. If we break those levels, that means we have broken out of our gathering spot, and we can very well trade. It could be to the upside, it could be to the downside. Just know that you have overhead resistance at 182.22, which is the 200 EMA on a 30-minute chart, and there's support right here at the 20 EMA, which is where it's finding support right now at 179.89. That 20 EMA is what's holding us up, and it's right there at the bottom of our consolidation, our gathering spot right here. So that is very strong support. If we break that, we can continue down to 179.23 and then again 178.10. So that's something to think about with AMD. If you trade AMD, let's say that. And looking at it here on this 5-minute chart, this is our area. You see the lavender lines. Those are the areas that we marked on the 30-minute. That's our gathering spot, our consolidation area. We have a 5 and 50 crossing. Y'all know I looked at those for entries to the downside. We are under the 5 EMA right now. So the 5 EMA will be our resistance, and this bottom line is our support. So we're kind of right there between support and resistance. And so anything above, let's say 180.11 for AMD, it could take us back to the upside, even though we still have a little trouble here. We have the 50 EMA, the VWAP, and the 20 EMA, and then we have this ATR trailing stop, which is all the way up here at 180.92. Is it possible for us to get back to that place? I say in the market, anything is possible, right? Just trade what you see and stay focused on your trades. That's very, very important. And one of the things I had to learn the hard way is to not be in so many trades at one time. I always trade the same thing, and I try to stay focused on that one, because it's kind of hard to watch many different charts at one time. So my encouragement today is to whatever you trade it to upside or downside. And this too is not financial advice, right? But you can take one position. I trade Tesla mostly every day. So I normally take Tesla either to the upside or to the downside, but I try not to jump and bounce to different tickers, even though, sometimes it is possible. And in your mind, it's a mind thing. I need to say that again. In your mind, you're thinking, well, this is moving and this is moving. Well, guess what? It is. But once it starts going against you, you're losing double. And you're not able to get out of all of those positions at the same time. Let me say, unless you set your stop losses, and it's just a lot to balance. It's a lot to remember. It's a lot to do. So choose what you're going to trade and trade carefully. Pay attention to your charts and follow your charts. I say that often, y'all. So I hope this information is very, very helpful. I am super, super excited. Again, it's a brand new day, another opportunity, y'all. We learn and we grow together. Let me say that. Thank you so much for watching today. And I hope that everyone has an awesome, awesome day today. I always like to leave you with be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.